You are not allowed to say that it's a huge red flag being 35 years old and 1, constantly and back to back in a relationship, and 2, feeling the need to absolutely and publicly destroy your ex once the relationship is over. If you're not a Swiftie or in any way, shape, or form interested in Taylor Swift music, or her label, or her brand, you can scroll past this video. I'll wait. So Taylor Swift's new album, The Tortured Poets Department, is coming out in less than a week. And I feel like us, fans, we need to sit down and have an honest discussion. An honest discussion that I haven't seen anybody on YouTube or TikTok be brave enough or perhaps stupid enough to take. But here I am. I am well aware that I might be getting death threats after this video, but I'm going to say it anyway, and I want you all to weigh in on this subject. As happy as I am that we're getting a brand new album, I have been a Swiftie since I was like 12 years old. When the track list to the Tortured Poets Department came out in February, I think, I couldn't help but to feel confused and disappointed. Let me explain. In my teenage years and young adulthood, Taylor Swift's songs about heartbreak, they nurtured my soul. It was everything I felt like I needed to say to the boys who broke my heart and broke my trust, but never been able to articulate. When Taylor didn't wait for the closure to be given to her by the boy who broke her heart, she took the power of the story and the narrative back. For me and for millions of other boys and girls out there, that was something very powerful, but most of all, it was relatable and it was soothing. That's also why I think so many of us have felt the need to protect and defend Taylor, because in a way, protecting and defending Taylor is protecting and defending ourselves. Protecting ourselves and every single girl and boy out there who, due to their lack of self-respect, self-love, self-knowledge, let themselves get hurt, let themselves be led on, tricked, used, and just give and give and give so much of themselves to someone until there was literally nothing left. However, I am 30 years old now. Taylor Swift is 35. And basically, though we've grown up together and her playing the soundtrack to my life, I am finding myself further away from her than I've ever been. And it's not about her recent billionaire status. It's not about her disturbing inability to speak up on any political issue that doesn't directly benefit her. My reason feels almost criminal, and with the risk of getting properly canceled for saying it, I'm gonna say it. I don't like the way Taylor Swift is handling her breakup with Joe Alwyn. I don't like the way that Taylor Swift is handling her breakup with Joe Alwyn, and it makes me feel like she has reached a plateau in her personal development where she is incapable of healing her childhood traumas or anything else that is withholding her from becoming the best version of herself. Let me explain. So just to start off, Taylor Swift has been with Joe Alwyn for 6 years. He was the only person there for her during the infamous Kanye feud in 2016 when the whole world canceled her. She wrote some of her best love songs and her best albums with and about him. He was also the only person supporting her and teaching her how to get more privacy in her life. Maybe too much privacy for Taylor's taste, but that is still not a criminal act. And despite all of the slander, all of the harassment that Joe has been receiving in the last year, he has never, ever said one bad word about her. So despite all this, Taylor Swift is telling the world a full year after she and Joe has publicly split that he is yet another no good, criminal, asshole ex-boyfriend that has, and I quote, ruined her life. This man that she has been for 6 years has ruined her life. So we're getting another album about a bad ex, an ex that doesn't like the spotlight. Taylor knows that he doesn't like the spotlight, and she is forcibly dragging him out into it a full year after they split. Why? Maybe for him wanting a different life than her. Maybe for him not letting her be bejeweled. Maybe for him not giving her enough attention. Maybe for him thinking that her fame and her need for fame is getting in the way of them having the kind of relationship he wants them to have. For him not wanting to marry her because of this? Sure. All of these things must have really sucked for Taylor during these 6 years. But they're not criminal acts that justify her dragging this person that for 6 years was her person out to the public pillory so her millions and millions of fans can harass him, insult him, and chase him for the rest of his career. And of course she knows what she's doing by not even hinting to her fans to leave Joe in peace. Just the other day, Swifties were editing AI video and AI audio to make it sound and look like Joe Alwyn is insulting Taylor. The same fans who demanded governmental action when AI porn of Taylor was being spread are now trying to destroy this man's name and career with AI. Like, I've seen edited pictures of Taylor Swift with a black eye. And the question is Taylor making any effort to stop any of this? No. On the contrary, she is fueling the hate towards Joe Alwyn by continuing to drop hints that she was in fact mistreated by him for a full 6 years. Just now on April 5th, she dropped 5 playlists on Apple Music named Grief, Denial, Bargaining, Anger, and Acceptance, in which she had sorted her love songs about Joe into, which sent all of her fans into another craze, hunting him down on social media and cursing him out. How did Joe handle all of this new traffic to his social media? Well, he posted links in support for Gaza. So people all around the world are currently slandering his name, still without any evidence that he has betrayed or cheated on their idol. And Swifties, listen, even if Joe Alwyn did cheat on Taylor, harassing him and insulting him and hurting him for the rest of his life is not justified. Let me remind you that Taylor Swift has cheated on her ex-boyfriends and admitted to doing so in multiple of her songs. How come you forgive Taylor Swift but not Joe Alwyn and think that he deserves to be harassed for the rest of his career? The answer is simple, really, and perhaps another reason to why I feel like I cannot relate to Taylor anymore and why I feel that she has reached a stop in her personal development. Taylor Swift has created a narrative in which she cannot be held accountable or criticized without it being called misogyny. For example, you are not allowed to say that it's a huge red flag being 35 years old and 1, constantly and back-to-back in a relationship, and 2, feeling the need to absolutely and publicly destroy your ex once the relationship is over, without you being called an anti-feminist and or a slut-shamer. When it's really questions about reasonability, maturity, and what kind of behaviors we want to promote to ourselves, but also towards the younger generations when it comes to romantic relationships. Because this whole circus around the TTPTSD department, the full year of harassment she has been sending Joe's way, the peak or the end of which we haven't seen and will not see for many years to come, that is not how an adult handles herself. That is not how an adult handles herself. And to be perfectly honest with you, having 13 relationships in like 14 years isn't feminism. It isn't a flex to have the same inability to create a lasting and healthy relationship at 35 that you had at 19. It's not a sign of independence or strength. It's actually a sign of codependency and the inability of being on your own. And it's an incredible sign of incredibly poor judgment and a lack of maturity to, after you've broken up with the man who you for 6 years claimed was the love of your life, jump into a relationship with a semi-Nazi rock star, and right after you dumped his ass, go into a relationship with the golden retriever footballer doofus that you know will never be able to give you peace in the long term. Because Swifties, there will be no Mrs. Taylor Kelsey. How do I know? Because Taylor Swift got with Travis Kelce for the same reasons she got with Maddie H. Him being a rebound, her desperately avoiding being alone, and them being the total opposites of Joe Alwyn. All 3 reasons of which are not the foundations of everlasting love. Taylor is too smart She knows that a golden retriever footballer doofus will not be able to have deep conversations with her about art, music, politics, culture, everything that makes Taylor Taylor. He will not be able to hold. I am 100% certain that even if he did propose to her and she said yes out of desperation and stress over being 30 something and still not having the 10 kids she said she wanted when she was a baby, they will divorce. Because the real reason that Taylor Swift is with Travis Kelce is because she cannot stand being alone while she mourns and destroys the former love of her life. And none of these things are good, and I feel like a senior Swiftie, I need to start pointing these things out because I'm seeing a collective brain rot in the Swiftie community, and I want you to really think about the question that I'm about to ask you. Swifties, if your best friend had 14 relationships in 13 years, the last one lasting 6 years to a guy named Joe Alwyn, would you really clap and cheer for her as she 2 months after the breakup goes into relationship number 15, as I see so many Swifties do for Taylor without blinking? Would you do this, or would you sit her down, hold her hand, look into her eyes and ask her, how are you? Really? Tell me where it's hurting. Tell me where it's hurting. Tell me what you are compensating for. Tell me how being with the man makes you feel less anxious, makes you feel less alone. Tell me what you are afraid will happen if you're alone. Tell me why you think your relationships keep on failing. Let's talk about those things. I would want to be the one person in Taylor's life of yes-sayers that actually asks her these questions. Not out of misogyny, but out of care. And don't come at me with the, oh, if she was a man, you wouldn't care. She would be just like Leo in Saint-Tropez. As a matter of fact, the whole world cares about Leo being 50-something years old and onto his 27th girlfriend. But Leonardo DiCaprio cannot hide behind the arguments of feminism and misogyny as Taylor Swift so cleverly does. One thing that's actually a little bit sad is that Taylor had a choice. She had a choice to show the world and her fans that this time it could be different. This time she maybe would not handle this by putting up a breakup album, making her fans go after this guy, insulting him, harassing him, canceling him. She could have made the choice to play this a different way. By doing that, she could have also shown that she has a different range now. She has a different way of handling breakups or conflicts. She does not need to monetize on salty relationship breakup songs in which the listener knows which guy she's talking about and get emotionally invested and will follow the tabloids and all of that. She had the choice to make a ever more folklore, walk back. But I get a feeling with this album that it's not necessarily going to be musically a step forward for her. I think that we're going to get something like Midnights. It's still within a comfortable framework, but the whole point of this album is just to, shred Joe to pieces and make money. Taylor is allowed to write about whatever she wants, but she's doing the same thing at 35 as she's been doing at 19, at 22, at 25. Don't get me wrong. Lana, 20 years old, really needed All Too Well. She really needed Bad Blood. She really needed Dear John and Better Than Revenge. However, Lana, 30 years old, cannot imagine being together and loving somebody for 6 years and then a full year after the split still carry such hate, still carry such need for revenge within me that I engage millions and millions of people in a global bullying campaign towards this person just because I can. And believe me when I say that this video, it doesn't come from a place of evil. I myself feel like I'm growing apart from a person that I've loved for all of my life. And that's simply because I cannot, as an adult, relate to or support this behavior that I've been seeing from Taylor for the last year. However, and on the contrary to what my idol has been telling me for the last 2 decades, I wish Taylor nothing but happiness. And I will be reviewing The Tortured Poets Department coming on April 19th. But I really felt like I first needed to do this video and talk about these things and get it out, like almost as a disclaimer, because Taylor has been such a big part of my life. So watching her and analyzing her, it makes me realize a lot about why women with emotional traumas like Taylor constantly fail in our romantic lives. Why we keep getting our hearts broken, why we keep giving and giving and get nothing back, and why we simply can't make the person that we love stay with us and stay for us and choose us. Basically, Taylor's whole discography. And I'm thinking about making why Taylor Swift can't keep a man and what you can learn from it into a series. The name is sarcastic, but yeah, I think the topic is interesting and it's something I wanted to talk about for a while. So in conclusion, what do you think about the things that I've been saying? Is the PTSD taking things a step too far for Taylor? Am I a crazy misogynist? Let me know. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, but even better, subscribe, and you'll be notified when my reaction and review to DPTSD is coming out, and also perhaps this series. See you on the next one.